Hey there lovely people, welcome to the Gamer's Rest. My name's Tao, and in this brand new series I'll play and then review solo TTRPGs, sharing my thoughts with all of you, giving you the breakdown of some of the material that's included and some of the mechanics as well, just to give you an idea as to what it's all about and how it plays. Welcome to the solo review. If you've never played a solo TTRPG before, then this is the series for you. And today we're going to play the immense journal TTRPG, The Quest Giver by Armaan Babu. The Quest Giver is a solo adventure game where you act as the titled Quest Giver, a mysterious character tasked with saving the world by bringing together a group of heroes and sending them on quests. You'll be following their journey from naive young adventurers to experienced nigh unstoppable legends. However, all is not what it seems, as one member of the group is destined to be the Endbringer. Will our heroes be strong enough to stand against one of their own? Only the dice can determine that, but one way or another, this story ends in heartbreak. In order to play the game, you're going to need a deck of cards, a set of dice, a way to document the game, and of course a copy of the game itself, which you can pick up from itch.io, and the link is underneath there. Hopefully you can see that. But yeah, do pop across there and pick up a copy of the game for yourself. Let's have a look at the mechanics then. So actually setting up the game, the first thing you've got to do is a bit of world building. So here you're going to set the setting. That makes sense, doesn't it? For your world and your heroes that are going to be working within it. It gives you some suggestions. The best way to do this is to first of all start by creating 4 mysteries. So these are things that pervade your world. They should be important to the players or the world at large, but things that can drive the narrative and really help give you ideas for quests and ways that this narrative all pulls together. The next thing is to create 4 major problems. So 4 things that your setting is going through that might be of interest to the players or could have an impact in what happens to them. You then need to think about factions. So who are the 4 most powerful factions that inhabit your world? And then finally, what are the 4 main party goals for your group? Why have they banded together? Why are they working together? What are they trying to achieve? Once you've got that all done, you can then start working on your characters. So the group should consist of anywhere from 3 to 6 individuals who've all joined together for a common purpose. For each of those, you're going to want to create some details around them. So things like who they are, their personal information, a bit of a description, but also you need to give them an identifier. So this is an archetype where you decide what type of character they are. So there's things like magic and technology and all those kinds of things. The book itself gives you full details as to different ones, but you can of course create those details yourself depending on what world you're creating. Each hero also needs a results table from 1 to 20, and we'll talk about what you need to do with that in a little bit. But also they are giving a starting hero level, and in this case it's a D4. The other thing you should make sure is they've got a personal goal as well, just so you can flesh them out, and obviously that's going to impact what happens as they progress. You also need a sheet for the quest giver themselves. So this is going to detail some of the information you need, so things like fate dice and question dice, which are covered in the game itself, but also you need to think about who the quest giver is. Things like who are they, how did they come by the prophecy about the Endbringer, how did they find the party of individuals, and who do they think is most likely to bring about the end of the world. Once you've got all those details together, you can actually start to play your game. And the way to start that is to, funnily enough, send people on a quest. So the first thing to do is decide what that quest is going to be. How are the party alerted to it? And how does it fit in with the narrative as to potentially what the end of the world might look like, or what your party is trying to achieve? Once you've set that up, you can then look to see how successful the actual quest it was itself. So that moves you on to what's called the gamble. So this talks about how the quest actually went. You're going to notice success and failures of your dice rolls. So as we said earlier on, each hero rolls a dice and they compare it to that table we talked about with the 1 to 20 lines on it. If you roll the dice and say you get a 3 and that entry is blank, you've got to write in an example of a success or failure that occurred during this quest. So to give you an idea, in my game, one of the team failed because they didn't have material that needed to they needed at hand in order to actually complete the quest. When I have future quests, if I roll that number again, I have to use what's written in there down as my outcome. So potentially on another quest down the road, that could happen again. Before you can end the game, each hero has to have at least one success or failure option on their character sheet, but the balance of it is entirely up to you. You decide how many successes, how many failures, as long as there is one of each by the end of the game. Once you've decided what actions each of your heroes take and whether or not they've been a success or failure, you then move on to the results. So this is where you're going to do a short journey entry on how the quest actually fared. And you need to put in your success, your failures to help shape that journey entry. So as I said with my one, I had somebody who didn't have the material at hand. I've got to use that in creating the narrative and structure of my journey entry. If it's the case that the group has more successes than failures, then they celebrate and their reputation grows. If they had more failures than successes, they need to take time to recover and work out why they still carry on. So again, the number of success and failures will drive the narrative as to what happens next. Once you've detailed that information, we then move on to the learning stage. So anybody who has failed in the previous stage is going to be asked some questions about who they are, what information we have about them, and really to try and understand whether or not they might be the end bringer. So, and at the end of the book, there is a series of questions which are allocated to different cards. You draw a card for each character that's failed, and then roll a dice and start to ask questions about the individual, which helps shapes who they are and obviously helps you determine who is most likely to be that end bringer. If you draw the Joker, this can end the game because the Joker gives you a simple question: is this person the end bringer, yes or no? If the answer is yes, the game goes to the end phase. If the answer is no and there's only one other person left for you to guess at, then the game goes to the end phase. If not, we go back to the beginning and we start another quest. Now, the key thing to remember is this is your story, so it is up to you to decide who the quest giver wants to be the end bringer. Yeah, all your choices. Very important that you kind of think about who they might be and why they might be the end bringer, because you're going to want to talk about that a little bit at the end. What you would then do is look at growth. So some heroes might level up. When every character's results tables have been filled up to their die level, so at the very start, remember we said it's a D4. So once you've got 1 to 4 results filled up on there, then their level increases and you move up to the next dice level, so a D4 to a D6. And that just means you've got more slots open for new results for your table. Once all that's completed, if you're still not sure who the end bringer is, we go back to the start and we launch new quests in order to see if we can track down who the fated person is to end the world. That is not going to be done until everybody has a success or failure on their sheet. Okay. That's it. That's the main kind of mechanics of the game itself. There's some more information there about fate tokens and question tokens, but you'll need to go into the actual book itself to read those because there's a lot of detail in there for this particular game. But essentially, that's it. You send your people on their quests. You then interrogate and find out more about the people that have failed, and you start to build up the, I guess, lore about them and what's driving them. And of course, each quest leads on to more information about what's going on in your world as well. When you do get to the end game, you essentially have that, I guess, James Bond-esque moment where your end bringer comes out and says, yes, it's me, and they're going to reveal their master plan to the rest of the group. So who they are, why they're trying to end the world. Again, entirely up to you. It could be that they've got good reasons they think to do it, or they could just be that big bad evil who has been playing them all along. but essentially there is like that moment of revelation, which then draws you onto that final quest, which is where we get to decide what actually happens. So when you go onto that final quest, you've got one final chance for the heroes to try and bring their friend to their senses. But if that fails, the battle then begins, and you're left with only one question: who will triumph in that final hour, and will the Endbringer be stopped? How does the game actually play? Well, to be straight with you, because I'm always honest when I do these reviews, when I've actually played this, because I'm trying to review quite a few games at the moment, I haven't played the full thing because it's going to take a long time. But what I have done is I played one of the quests just to work through the mechanics, just to give myself an idea as to what it actually looks and feels like. It's definitely one of the most in-depth solo games I've had the pleasure to review, and it doesn't feel like anything I've reviewed or played before. It's not something you're going to complete in an afternoon. So if you're a casual gamer that kind of just got a rainy afternoon and you want to do something fun and, you know, test your skills and have an outcome, this won't be for you. If the type of game you're looking for is one where you're going to spend potentially weeks to scratch the surface of your world, then this is definitely for you. I would recommend this for anybody that's maybe doing some world building and wants to work through some lore and rich history for a new world, because I think it sets it up really nicely for you to be able to do that, especially as, you know, whenever we play any of these kind of games, there is usually at least one catastrophic event in the world's history where something really terrible happened or it came close to happening. So it's really going to help if you're the sort of person that builds your own games and you want that kind of rich tapestry. But if you're a writer and you want to write something in maybe a longer form that spans, you know, could be 7, 8, 9, 10 quests, then again, this is the game for you. One of the things I really like is that you are building your own interpretation of any adventure. Now, I've gone for something a little bit different in my interpretation. I think I've gone for AI-controlled... what did I go for? AI-controlled lizards who have decided to try and take over the world. So, very different to anything D&D related or anything like that. But it's great because it's stretching my imagination. So as a game designer, I really love that. And I do appreciate how it's made me kind of just chuck everything out and just go with something completely different. One of the other things that's really good... Do excuse me a moment. Sorry about that. One of the other things that I appreciate is that unusual spin of it being centered around the Endbringer. And you've then got this quest giver who's got this prophecy. They know it's going to happen, but they don't know how. And what you're actually doing is working to tell the tale of how that person is revealed. And you're trying to encourage them to go on these quests, because if they don't, they won't be powerful enough to stop the Endbringer. But you've got to take the Endbringer as well, otherwise it won't work. So it's actually quite narratively complex in terms of a adventure. It's got a lot of depth, and it's $5 on the itch store, and you get quite a lot of content for that $5. I think it's really good, but it's definitely about building that narrative where you get that really big final payoff once you get to the end. But it's not going to be a quick kind of ending. Trust me. Yeah, you like I said, you could be playing this for a couple of weeks. What I think this does is it gives a really great example of how a solo TTRPG can be something big and really, you know, really time consuming in a way that could assist you if you are looking for new ideas. I think it's going to work really well for you for that. Oh, folks, I'm so sorry. My voice is going. So, if you're looking for an incredible journey, this is going to be the game for you. And I would suggest that you do add it to your collection. Go and check it out. Go and give some love. because I think you're going to really enjoy this, especially if you are someone that likes to write. So you can pick this up on the itch store, and as I said, the details are underneath there. You can also follow Armaan Babu over on Twitter or X, and you can check them out there, and they're at Armaan Babu. And if you want to find more about their work and other games in their collection, you can check out the Linktree link. I'll put it in the notes, but it's effectively Linktree Armaan Babu. But there we go. That's it. That's my review. It's a great game. I think you're going to enjoy it. What I will do is I'm going to type up my playthrough of this. So previously I've been doing audio versions of it as well. It's quite detailed, so I'm going to type this up and put it on my Ko-fi, which is the Gamer's Rest. So you can check out my written version over there. Again, links will be in there. And of course, if you want to follow me, you can drop a subscribe. You can catch me across the social media under the Gamer's Rest, where you'll find all the details that I do. And of course, we've got loads of other stuff on YouTube as well. But there we go. That's everything, folks. Thank you so much for checking out this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. And do come back and join us again for another episode of the Solo Review. Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.